Hey everybody, today we're going to be covering 14-4. We're going to be changing customary units. So we're going to be taking things like feet and converting them into inches and going vice versa, inches into feet as well. So the big thing that you need to remember for today is that anytime we go from a large unit to a smaller unit, our number is actually going to get bigger. Anytime we go from a small unit to a big unit, our number is going to get smaller. And I'll show you what I mean right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to measure something and then we're going to convert that measurement. So I'm going to be using my whiteboard here and I have a measuring tape and we're going to measure my whiteboard's length. So all the way across. So I'm going to measure it out and it's exactly 3 feet across. 3 feet. So now what I want to know is I measured it in feet. So how long is it in inches? Equals how much in inches. So the first thing I need to figure out here is figure out how many inches are in 1 foot. So there is a conversion guide on your reteaching, but some of these things we should just know off the bat, and the more we use them, the more you'll get used to them. So there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So what I'm going to do here in order to find out, to convert my feet into inches, is I need to multiply. So I'm going to multiply for every 1 foot here, I'm multiplying by 12. So it's going to be 3 times 12, which is going to give me 36 inches. 36. So our board is 36 inches across. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. We started with 3, so a relatively small number with a big unit. So a foot, that's a foot right there. That's a pretty big unit. And then we're converting it into inches, which are extremely small. So if you go from a big unit into a small unit, you're going to have a very large number. If you go from a small unit, like inches, into a big unit, your number is going to get smaller. So let's take a look at that. Now let's measure, should we measure the width across? Now let's measure the height of this board. So I'm gonna go down and it's exactly, let's do it in inches. It is 24 inches. I'm gonna switch up colors. So the board is 24 inches tall. So I want to convert those 24 inches into feet. And because we're just starting out with this, these conversions will almost always go in perfect. So you're not going to get a lot of decimals or halves or anything like that. So your math problem should go in perfectly. So now we're going to be using the same thing as before. So we know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, but we have to flip it around. Because there's 12 inches in 1 foot, we're actually going to be doing division now because we have our little unit, our inches, and now we need to convert those into feet. So we're going to be dividing 24 by however many inches there are in a foot. So we're going to do 24. We did multiplication up here to get our larger number. And we're going to be doing division, so 24 inches, divided by 12 inches in a foot equals 24 divided by 12. 12 goes into 24 how many times? It's going to go in 2 times, so 24 inches is going to equal 2 feet. So this is the basis of all the conversion that we're going to be doing today. And the conversion charts are on your assignment. Really the key thing for you to do here is to understand, am I going from large units into small units, or am I going from small units into larger units? And if you understand that, then your numbers really should look pretty obvious. If I was to do it backwards and do 24 times 12, it would come out to over 200 feet. So there's no way that this board is 200 feet tall. So think about it, use your math skills. It's either going to be multiplication or division, and think about the answer you get. Don't just throw out your answer and go, oh, I did the math, it's going to work. Think about it. Does it make sense? Does it make sense that this board is 2 feet tall? Yes, that makes sense. Does it make sense that it's 240 feet tall? Not really. So think about it as you do it. Let's take a look at a couple of problems that you're going to be seeing and how to solve those. So your math assignment is going to ask you to do some direct conversions. So like we just did before, 24 inches equals how many feet and things like that. But it's also going to ask you to do some inequalities. So you have to put in your greater than, less than, or equal to signs. For the homework, you're actually going to type those out. So you're going to type out the words greater than, equal to, or less than. So that's what I'm going to do on here. So you'll have this little line in between instead of the usual circle that we see. And we're just going to put out greater than, less than, or equal to in there. So let's go ahead and tackle this problem right now. So we have 9 feet is greater than, less than, or equal to 2 yards. So we have to decide what it is. Now we can't directly solve this because we have 2 different units. So what we need to do is we need to decide on a unit that we're going to use. My suggestion to you, all the way through, you want to use the smaller unit. Smaller units are easier to convert into. So yards are larger than feet. So we're going to use feet as our overall unit. So all I have to do for this one, I don't have to convert this, it's already in feet, but I do have to convert yards, these 2 yards into feet. So I'm just going to write it right next to it, equals some amount of feet, and that will make this a lot easier for me. So I need to think how many feet are in 1 yard. And if I go to my conversion chart, the conversion chart is in your book and on the homework, I know that there are 3 feet in every 1 yard. So 2 yards is going to equal, I have to do 2 times 3 yards per foot, and that's going to give me 6 feet. So my 6 feet goes right there. Now this makes it really simple because now I have 9 feet greater than, less than, or equal to 6 feet. And obviously 9 feet is greater than 6 feet. So I'm just going to write out greater than. 9 feet is greater than 2 yards, which equals 6 feet. Our last sample for today is going to be a capacity example. So we're looking at pints and we're looking at quarts. So we want to know 2 pints greater than, less than, or equal to 1 quart. So again, we want to look for whatever is our smaller unit. So a quart is larger than a pint. So I'm going to use pints as my overall unit, which means I want to convert my quarts into pints. So again, I'm going to put my equal sign. And for your homework, this is a great idea. Get a piece of scrap paper and write this equation out. It's going to help you out a lot. So 1 quart equals some number of pints. So then I go to my conversion chart. I look at how many pints are in 1 quart. And if you look at your chart, it's 2 pints to 1 quart. So I'm going to take my 1 quart, and I multiply it by 2 pints per quart, and that's going to equal 2, or 2 pints. So my inequality or equality becomes 2 pints greater than, less than, or equal to 2 pints. Pretty much speaks for itself. The answer is equal to. So 2 pints is equal to 1 quart. So to sum up the things that we talked about today, changing customary units over, first things first, you want to know, am I going from a big unit into a small unit? Or am I going from a small unit into a larger unit? And then when we get to our inequalities like this, which one do I want to convert? Which one should I change? And the smaller unit, it's always easier to change a large unit into a smaller unit. The numbers will go in evenly, and it's always going to be multiplication, which I find a lot easier than division, especially when the numbers start to get more difficult. So good luck with your lesson today.